world is now entering a new era of living with COVID-19. The pandemic upturned the world as we know it. But some have embraced this unprecedented upheaval, seizing it as an opportunity to explore new ways of doing old jobs. CNA Correspondent is here in South Korea and Japan this week, looking at how these two countries are pioneering a new post-pandemic paradigm.
The magnificent Japanese Alps stretching across 6 prefectures. The Alps are collectively known as the rooftop of Japan, with many peaks over 2,000 meters high, and at its feet, abundant nature. It's one of the best times of the years, with the season shifting from spring to early summer. Expectedly, many foreign tourists come here, providing income for local businesses. But with Japan still shut to international travelers, the region, like the rest of the country, is turning to domestic visitors instead. Tourism is slowly starting to pick up nationwide here in Japan. Now, it's also the case here in Matsumoto City in Nagano Prefecture, central Japan. The city is rich in natural resources, which visitors can really take in and enjoy. The culinary experience it offers is also a pride of the local residents. It's one of the best-known Japanese ingredients, miso. Here it's called Shinshu miso. Of the many types of miso existing in Japan, Shinshu miso makes up half of miso shares in Japan. Shinshu is another name for Nagano. This is pork with ginger and miso. The miso I consumed is made by Ishii Miso. Kosuke Ishii currently runs the business as its 6th generation president.
天然醸造という昔ながらの作り方でやってるんですね。で、その天然醸造というのはまずこの国産大豆、日本で育てられた大豆を使い、杉の桶を使って、夏暑い、冬寒いというね、そういうその自然発酵というんですけど、これが年月とともに
1 year fermentation creates this white miso. In the 2nd year, the color darkens, and it's reddish when the miso matures to 3 years. Miso is known for its health benefit, helping boost immunity. That benefit did help to boost sales during the pandemic, but it wasn't enough.
ステイホームということもあって、通信販売だとか卸の部分に関してはどちらかというとこう伸びてきているんですよね。ただやはりその観光の落ち込みというのは大きくてですね。
Along with miso, Shinshu soba, or buckwheat noodles, is also a signature dish of the region. Aruga is a popular soba restaurant, and here tourists can try making their own soba. It's not as easy as it looks. Nagato Aruga is an award-winning chef. In 2019, he had up to 250 customers a day.
今、お客さん戻りつつありますけども、同じということはおそらく難しいかなと、まだ、席の間隔を離したりとか、おしゃべりしながらとかっていうのはなかなか難しい。
For those who love Japanese cuisine, Matsumoto quite simply offers the most authentic experience of the most well-known Japanese staples. Because of this, tourism used to thrive in the area. That's also why the city suffered when foreign tourists stopped coming. This is one of Japan's largest wasabi farms. It's not only huge, it has abundant spring water, or 120,000 tons bubbling out from underground. This wasabi farm lies in the basin of the snow-capped Alps. Mountain water is a blessing to farms and the local industry. The water here is naturally filtered through layers of sediment during the span of 15 years. That makes it so fresh that every part of the wasabi here can be consumed. The Wasabi Farm has been an institution here for 100 years, but it too was not spared from COVID-19.
いわゆる観光施設からの脱却ですね。で、それが必要だなというふうに感じました。で、そこから社内でみんなで話し合って、本当お客様目線でここに来たらどういう感動をしてもらえるか。雄大な自然に囲まれてあちら山もありますし、ここは湧き水もありますし、本当に自然の宝庫だと思ってるんですね。で、そういったものって本当にこういったコロナ禍で閉塞してしまったその人の心っていうものに強く刺さるんじゃないのかなと思っております。
Another business has also had to change how it operates to cater to new consumer patterns. Hotel Shoho is an old hot spring resort in Matsumoto City. Since the pandemic, its business suffered. Like others in the tourism industry, Hotel Shoho is now trying to make up for the huge losses it suffered during the past 3 years. The management scrutinized measures to revitalize the hotel's business.
Management decided to change one of the rooms here from a wedding salon to a place where people can work.
It's a workation room. It's set up a network to facilitate online meetings, and it's also decided to add value to the working space, decorating the walls with, interestingly enough, guitars.
松本市はですね、エレキギターの生産数でですね、世界一になったこともある町なんですね。で、今でもですね、その産業は盛んでございまして、ギターを中心にしたものっていうのを実はうちのワーケーションルームに展示を同時にしております。でですね、クラフトマンのですね、技術が息づいた作品をですね、周りに並べて、それを見ていただくことでですね、お仕事にもなんかいいインスピレーションだとか、アイデアにつながっていかないかな。
A new addition to the hotel's repertoire is yet another new service.
Wow, so you're going to be serving tea.
Yes, I will.
Noelle Rikers from the Netherlands makes tea for the customers.
Kind of see-through.
She joined the hotel's parent body in 2017, beginning her career by promoting inbound tourism, but that role diminished in significance with foreign travelers barred from entering Japan.
That's very special for me.
So Noelle is now working as a frontline service staff, a position not often filled by non-Japanese.
いただきます。
国籍だとか性別だとか年齢だとかそういうのが関係なくですね、そのものを正しく理解して正しく伝えられる人がその役割になった方がいいのかなというふうに私は思っています。
Slowly, Hotel Shoho is learning how to adjust its offerings to the pandemic's restrictions. Shoho had to give up on the buffet-style breakfast for over a year due to concerns it could spread COVID-19 infection. Today, the mouth-watering spread is back, with safety measures in place.
And as it is the custom to wear gloves when enjoying buffets, here I'm going to wear these.
This family traveled from Yokohama.
そういうものを食べたくて信州の方に地元の新鮮なものを食べたいがために信州の方に旅行に来るっていうのありますから。
This couple came from Tokyo.
こちらは初めてなんです。こちらの、ね、産地ですし、このレタスいいと思いますね。朝どりはね。
よろしくお願いします。はい。
The lettuce here is special. It's harvested at 5:30 in the morning, washed and on the buffet counter at 7:30 a.m. The freshly harvested vegetables come from this family-owned farm, and that's Miss Tomoko and her child Mizuki. Hello. Good to see you. Miss Tomoko has been growing vegetables for 2 years here. Actually, the cold weather in the highlands makes the lettuce sweet. But it's not easy farming them, and she has to do it with her son. His nursery closed when COVID-19 cases came to light. As is the situation with many mothers in Japan, Tomoko does not have a babysitter. She tries to work on the field while keeping her eyes on her son. This has been a season of adjusting for many in Matsumoto.
7割ぐらいは戻ってくるんじゃないかなというふうに思ってますね。で、国内の方、飛行機を使う方も飛行機ちょっと乗っていくのは怖いっていう方はやっぱりちょっとマイクロツーリズムじゃないんですけど近場ということで。
Many business owners I spoke to feel that tourism is showing signs of recovery. However, it's not up to the level of 2019, the pre-COVID-19 days. But with Japan starting to reopen its borders to foreign tourists, there is hope that a fuller post-pandemic recovery will be arriving on the horizon.
Every morning, Lee Hyun-jae logs onto his computer and starts work between 8 and 10 a.m. That's usually what time he goes to work in Seoul. But this week, he'll be working from his hotel room in Yangyang in Gangwon Province, which is about 2 hours' drive from his Seoul office, as part of a Workation program offered by his company. Workation is a newly coined term that combines work and vacation, championing the concept of work and life balance. Hyun-jae works for Yanolja, the leading travel and leisure activity reservation service platform in South Korea. He says as more and more South Koreans look for vacation spots, his company encourages employees to go and check them out for themselves first. When 30-year-old Hyun-jae heard there was a program to Yangyang in Gangwon Province, he jumped at it.
Working somewhere else, outside your office or your home is always a dream for us. I mean, it's a very attractive experience that you can, work somewhere else.
This trend of working from anywhere took off during the COVID-19 pandemic as people kept away from the office to reduce transmission. A growing number of millennial workers thought, why just work from home when they can do the same work from a vacation spot, allowing them to work and enjoy leisure time. When work is done, he switches to vacation mode. Here, that means going to the markets. This is a traditional market here in Yangyang, Gangwon Province. Now this is called Oiljang, which means a market that opens once every 5 days. Local foods like this, gangjang, a Korean snack made with different ingredients like sesame seeds or flour in this case.
Getting it hard enough to be a snack is to have a good heat control. So he says it's really up to his skills and he's cooking it. I always have to go to the traditional markets. I have to go to the markets and see what it's like, what kind of foods they sell, especially the finger foods they sell, because I always love the eating experience when I go to the market.
Another Gangwon specialty, ongshimi, boiled potato.
So that's what these are. They grind potatoes in a fine powder.
And before leaving the market, Hyun-jae wanted to buy some chicken. Not just any chicken, but something all South Koreans say you have to buy and take home. For a foodie like Hyun-jae, it might be the traditional markets that attracts him. But others also come to Yangyang for the beautiful beaches, where surfing has become very popular these days, to surf and work and enjoy its evenings. While there was no lockdown in South Korea during the pandemic, many stayed home to work. And while the rise of the workation trend occurred due to the COVID-19, it was also to meet the demands of the millennials, referred to as the MZ generation in South Korea. Those born in the 1990s and 2000. Even government offices are adapting to the changes with a more informal environment. Kwon Chil-sung headed the Ministry of Startups under the previous Moon Jae-in administration. When he was in office, he brought in swings and tents into the government office, hoping they would help relax the atmosphere and break down the traditional way of holding meetings among officials.
그러니까 보통 우리가 이제 딱딱한 책상에 앉아서 이렇게 사무 보듯이 회의를 하면 이 직원들 직급의 차이, 뭐 우리가 하이어라키고 하는 게 이렇게 있지 않습니까? 이렇게 있으면 아무래도 생각이 자기 이야기를 편하게 잘 못하는데 이런 데서 이렇게 처음에 앉아서 시간이 조금 지나면은 진짜로 캠핑 온 듯한 착각을 하게 되면서 말도 아주 편하게 하게 되고.
The pandemic has redefined what the workplace means for South Koreans. And for some, working remotely now means working using an avatar in the metaverse. Confused? The explanation when CNA Correspondent returns. As South Korea starts living with COVID-19 and office workers return to the office, remote working is slowly disappearing in many workplaces, except for some IT companies where employees are starting to think that remote working is the way to go in the future.
저희가 이제 뭐 코로나 때문에 재택근무를 하게 되면서 굳이 오프라인에 모이지 않아도 일이 되고 또 좋은 성과를 낼 수 있다는 그런 경험들을 확인을 했고 그 경험을 확인한 그 바탕으로 이제 가상 공간에서의 그 업무 툴까지 이제 개발하게 된 것입니다.
Most of the 350 or so employees of the real estate platform Chigbang now report to work from anywhere they want, as the company moved out of its Gangnam office into the metaverse. All they need to do is to log onto their computers, enter the company's metaverse space called Metapolis. With some help, I too logged in. But first, I had to decide on what character I wanted to be. Vice President Yeo Sun-young says using avatars makes it more natural for interaction, allowing people to really feel like they are speaking to another person.
그 기존에 있는 줌이나 뭐 이런 화상 툴들은 회의를 하고 그냥 끝나잖아요. 그러면 이제 일상적인 뭐 커피 책 같은 것도 불가능하고, 그런데 이제 메타버스 플랫폼이라고 하면은 그 캐릭터가 그 근무 시간 내에 그 공간에 이제 머무르게 되면서 뭐 지나가면서도 뭐 대화를 할 수 있고 업무 외적인 대화도 충분히 이제 가능한 거죠.
Chigbang believes metaverse officers are here to stay. That's why this real estate company is planning to sell its Metapolis office spaces in the metaverse, allowing more people to remotely work in an environment that resembles to the offline working environment. Hello, nice to meet you. It's me, Yeon Suk from Channel News Asia. Hi, Jack.
Hi, call me Jack.
Oh, right. And Jack, I'll meet you in Jeju next week. Jeju Island, South Korea's favorite tourist destination, is going all out to attract companies, offering workation for their employees, as it believes this could increase tourism, which is the main source of income for the southern island, also known as the Hawaii of Korea.
또 작년에는 숙박비 일부를 지원해 드린 것도 있었고, 그리고 이제 아까 말씀드린 여가 프로그램, 그 주말이나 아니면 퇴근 후에 할 수 있는 그런 프로그램들이 저희가 아무래도 관광 도시다 보니까 그 관광공사나 협회를 통한 그런 거를 하셨을 때 할인도 해드리고 관광도 활성화되고.
A week later, I visit Jeju, 50 minutes by flight from Seoul to learn more about this new style of working, especially among the young generation. Jack has been living on Jeju Island for over a year with his wife and daughter after the COVID-19 pandemic hit the country.
I didn't want my daughter wear a mask all the time. So at that time in Jeju, actually there was not that many people got COVID-19. So only one per day or 0. So normally we start from 9:30 in the morning. Start in work. But we have Tiffany actually staying in Texas now. So actually, so I started talking to my team from 6:30 in the morning here.
Since they were all from the so-called MZ generation, I asked them how they felt about working this way.
I realized it gives me sort of the flexibility and the work-life sort of balance a lot more than my previous role. So which then brings me more happiness, more productivity.
Where it works for me is, I think, the biggest aspect. For instance, back in December, I was in Thailand for about 2 weeks, and just because I'm getting that nice sun and I could like jump in the pool during lunch hours, I do think that had a huge benefit in my overall productivity as well.
So basically, at my previous job, I actually had to commute almost 4 hours every day back and forth. So it was like a huge change.
Jack too is in Jeju Island because he wants to work-life balance. When work is done, he comes here for horseback riding lessons. Unthinkable back in Seoul. As more and more companies are finding out that the happier the employees are, the more productive they can become at work. They may become more willing to let their staff take the idea of working remotely even further than they could have imagined before the pandemic.